Hey everybody. Well, a customer brought me in a chair and a bench. I gave an estimate for yardage on the chair of 7 yards, but they're asking me if I can get this bench out of that 7 yards too. So, always trying to be helpful to a client. I'm going to try to get out of both of these pieces 7 yards of fabric. So let's see how that goes. But I'm going to show you how to measure today and how to kind of cheat on some measurements if you have to in order to fit a job in. Okay, so the very first thing I'm going to do is to see, determine which direction I can run the fabric. It's a fabric that can be railroaded, and as you know, railroading is taking your bolt of fabric and running it sideways. So the reason that's an issue with this job is that this bench is fairly long. So the first thing I see that I have to measure is the bench. And by the way, the client said, if you can't get the bench, don't worry about it, get the chair. But I'm going to try to get both. So this will determine how I'm going to run the fabric, how long this is. So I'm going to go with the whole length of this is 56 inches. That just so happens to be the width of the fabric. So I haven't determined yet if we're going to railroad it, because with the chair measurements, after I get all my measurements, I'm going to explain to you how you pick based on the project whether, if you can on a fabric, can be railroaded, whether to railroad it or run the fabric the right way. You often hear railroading saves fabric. Well, that's true. It depends, though, on the measurements of a piece of furniture. So I'll show you that. Let's go through all these measurements. So this is the bench. I have 56 inches. And again, we're giving ourselves 3 inches from where we think it's going to be tacked. And that's 28. And then 1.5 inches on each side is for stretching purposes. Okay, so we have our bench measurements. Now let's go over to the chair. First, what I'm going to do is label the chair, all the components of the chair. We have a seat. We have inside back. We'll say IB. We have inside arms. Make sure you pluralize that, inside arms. We have 2 of those. And then what we have is outside arms, where the seam is, 2 of those. And then we have outside back. We're not going to be doing this little number here. We're just going to be on that plane. Outside back. Now, let's measure the seat. Now the seat has to go attach. So we're going to make sure we're going to have enough to go through here. Front to back on the seat with that 3 inches is 38 inches. And side to side we have 36 inches. 36 inches. And notice again, as a reminder, my other videos I've shown you, this is how I do it. This indicates up and down. This is side to side. So we're trying to make it as easy as we can. We have 2 measurements for each section of the chair. Okay, so we're at inside back. Excuse me. Inside back, up and down. I have 39. And side to side, always from the furthest point, folks. Always from the furthest point. We're just making rectangles and squares. Keep that in mind. We're going to go 36. Inside arms, they don't go all the way down to here and around. We got 24 up and down. Side to side, we have 27. And again, these are with the 3 inch over that I'm giving you these. Outside arms. Now, you got a good idea what we're doing here. The outside arms are a little easier to see. Furthest point right here, up and down. We have 19, so we're going to go 22. 22. And side to side, furthest point right here. 22 plus 3, 25. 1 more measurement. We have 30, 40. We're going to go 40 up and down and side to side. Furthest point, which is near the top, we're gonna go 43. Okay, now this is gonna be interesting because we have a lot of difficult measurements here. I see a couple though that are good. What I mean by that is, let's come on over to the table and take a look. Okay, so I have my bench listed with the measurements on top here, but I can't cut that first because the priority is getting the chair. So we're going to start cutting the chair, but the idea here is, and we already know the direction. I'm pretty sure that if I'm going to get the bench, it's going to have to come the right way off the bolt, not railroaded. Because the reason I'm doing that too is because I picked up on two good measurements we have, the 27 and the 25, which is about half of the 56, so we can get 2 out of a width. You're always looking for either width measurements or 2 out of the width, especially when you first start cutting. All these other measurements we have, what I call bad measurements. And you'll see why, because there'll be some left. Okay, let's get going. Let's get going with the good measurements first. So I'm going to go the outside arms, they're 25 and 22. 22 up and down, that's 22. And I have a fabric here that doesn't have a pattern. If it had a pattern, I would have told the client right away, we can't do it. We know we're not going to be able to get your bench. But since it doesn't have a pattern, we don't have to worry about matching anything. So it's just straight raw measurements and math. So I'm going to just take the width of the fabric. Fabric is 56, which is a bonus because it's 2 inches longer than the standard 54. I'm going to split that in half, and we're going to go 28, 28. I'm going to just put a slash mark there, and I'm going to just cut up. I'm a right-handed person, so it's easy for me to go from the right to the left as I'm cutting. Sometimes you can glide the scissors, if you can in this. Sometimes you have to do the cutting, as you've seen in a previous video. Okay, so this we have to label. Make sure before it leaves the table, very important. And I've stressed this in other videos. Make sure that you label before it leaves the table. Outside arm, and I even go top. So there's no, 2 weeks later maybe when I'm picking this job up, I have no question that that's the top of that's the right direction of the fabric. That's why, don't write it in the corner, don't write it on the side, write it on the top. Okay, so that's one. Outside arm, this is the second outside arm top. Okay, we're gonna put these aside. So far that's off to a good start because we have no waste. Okay, I think I see a good second measurement. Okay, I'm going to cross out the outside arm, we don't want to duplicate. And now we're going to go 24, the inside arm is 24 up and down. I'm going 24 and 24, and then we're going to take half at 28. Okay, you know, I'm using my lines, by the way, when I'm cutting. I can actually pick up, if you can pick up on your lines, it's great. You don't have to go drawing out any more lines. You know how to draw them out in chalk, you're confident. Okay, inside arm, IA, top, IA, top. Okay, cross that out. Okay, now we're left with, besides the bench, which is an excellent measurement because it's the width of the fabric, we are left with some bad measurements. Okay, so that means that we have to go right up the roll. And I think what I'm going to do first is take the outside back because it's the bigger one. So let's draw that out at 40 inches up and down. We're going to go right up here at 40. Side to side is 43. And we're going to cut the outside back. Nice fabric to cut. Outside back, top, right? Throw it over here, cross it out, cross the outside back out, and go to the next one. Usually what you do is you go, if you have these odd ones, you go from the biggest and then down, so that you end up, watch this everybody, you end up with a piece that you might be able to grab. If you work the biggest piece, odd piece first, and then you're working down, then you get a good bias cut on your fabric. Do you see that? So you don't start with the short measurement first. It gives you more options. So we're thinking ahead. And by the way, I'm not crossing this. I'm not taking a cross cut here and evening my fabric out. Don't do that. You take away the option of piping when you do that. Never do that. Always have a long, odd piece is better than having chopped up pieces. Everybody wants to even up. Don't do that. Okay, so bring it over this way. We're going to do our inside back next, which is 36 wide. 36. We'll take another slash mark up there, 36, and it is 39 inches this way, up and down, 39. Do a slash mark. This is getting close, I did tell you right now. Okay, so let's go. Getting really close. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do it. IB top, okay? Cross that out. We're left with our seat on the chair. Let's be interesting to see if we've done a good job cutting. Let's see. Oh boy, this is close. So the seat side to side is 36. And up and down is 38. Okay. Can't skip on these measurements because we got to do a good job on the chair. Okay, on the seat, when you have something that's flat, the marking should be front seat. Okay, front seat. Anything that's laying flat has a front and a back. Anything that's up vertical has a top and a bottom, which is most of the cover that you do. But when you have something flat, in the case of a seat or in the case of a cushion, you have a front and a back. Okay, so now, moment of truth. If I'm hero, I can call a client and say, listen, I managed to get the 7 yards, I managed to get 2 pieces of furniture out of it. And that will make me look good. Let's just see, it's very close. Okay, now keep in mind, our measurement for the bench is 28 by 56. So I have to unroll this, it has to be 28 inches. We got plenty. Pretty good though. I mean, that was a full-size chair. So what I'm going to do here though, okay, instead of just cutting it off here, I'm going to go right down to the end of the roll. You have to be smart when you're cutting fabric. Be as conservative and as you can be when you're cutting fabric. I'm going to go to the end of the roll. Why did I do that? Well, because I can still get a long piping out of this, and I'm going to need piping out of this. Why would you cut across there and then have that fall and then not have more for piping? So I'm going to go to the end of the roll. So we're going to go 28 inches, and by the way, just cut that. Following the line, fabric is a great fabric because it has that line. Now, I'm going to write up here before this falls and I forget where I'm going with this. I'm going to write top on my extra fabric. That's very important because you want to know the direction. Sometimes it's hard to tell the direction after you drop it and come back to a job. You always want to make sure that you have it marked, okay? So this is our extra fabric for piping. I'm going to throw that over here. And then here's our bench. This is the front bench, I'm going to put this over on the bench. Look at this, it's just enough. Beautiful. I love calling clients to tell them, hey, I saved you $100 or $200 because they'll come back with more furniture if you do that. So just to finalize, I'm going to cross off my final piece. I have everything out of 7 yards of fabric, plus I have about a yard left over. So until next time, thanks.